Good afternoon. Today it is January 22nd. I think we're Wednesday. Wednesday, yes. The week is just flying by. There's so much entertainment online on Twitter. It was hard to decide what I was going to cover today, only because we I have two guests tomorrow and Friday, so I wasn't sure I was going to be able to cover much of what's happening. But with the inauguration and Trump going full speed ahead with his plan, there's so much to cover, and I won't be able to cover it all. I'm going to cover like kind of the things that are relevant to Canada and some of the things that are being talked about a lot, and some of the things that I've been like really heavy on my heart, like anti-Semitism. So yeah, we're going to be covering quite a bit. Hopefully I'll try to move through it quickly so it doesn't go on too long. I do have a lot of videos too to share with you guys of what people are saying and stuff. And just as I clicked start the stream, I realized I didn't have the video of what Trump said when he was asked about the Canada tariff, because obviously the tariffs aren't here yet. He had said first day in office he was going to put a 25% tariff on Canada unless they clean their house, secure their border and stuff. So we're obviously past that. There's been updates. So I'll talk about that quickly. Maybe while one of the videos is playing, I'm going to try to see if I can find the one where he was asked about it while he was signing all of the orders. And I'll share my thoughts too. It's hard to follow exactly what he's doing, but there's some small indication of verbal slips and word choices that he's using that I think is giving us a bit of an indication as to what his plan is. But anyways, I'm going to cover that. I'm going to cover the big controversy, or what the media is trying to make into a controversy. And that's Elon saying, "My heart goes out to you." And he's what they're calling it. They're saying he's done a Nazi salute. That's clearly not what it is. The regular public, I think, is seeing through this. But anyways, this is the Nazi salute hoax that the media is perpetrating. They've done this before with many other people. They've done it with Elon before as well, and now they're just continuing that. So I'm going to go over that as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about some funny stuff too with Canada, US, and just some of the stuff that I liked, that I want to kind of share about the inauguration. Some of the some of the funny stuff. I'm going to feature JD Vance a lot. If you guys don't like JD Vance, you're probably not going to like my show, because I'm a huge fan of JD Vance. I actually like him more than I like Trump. So, and it's not just because he looks just like my husband. I just really like how he carries himself. I just find there's going to be meme galore with JD Vance over the next 4 years. And I'll be covering every single one of them. So yeah, we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about Danielle Smith a lot, and how she seems to be the only one standing up for Canadians. And I just think she's doing a fantastic job. So we're going to cover that. Well, we might as well get started. Let me know if you're watching, where you're watching from, your name and what town and stuff, and what platform as well. Well, the platform I can usually see because it shows me in the comments there in StreamYard. But yeah, and if there's anything you want me to cover too, that you want me to bring on the show, I really consider this like a back and forth conversation. So I interact with the comments. I might even feature your comments on the show here. And yeah, so also the more you comment, the more it puts the show at the top of the algorithm, and the more people get to see and get updated as to what is actually happening, not what the media is trying to push that is happening. So yeah, we'll get started with the first one, which will be the Canada US relationship, the threats of tariffs. I'm going to show you what not to do when doing tariff negotiation. And I'm going to show you a video of Trudeau. Again, I don't even want to watch this, but I'm going to suffer through it with you guys. But I've seen what he's done so far. I haven't watched the full thing. It just started and I was rolling my eyes. So, and let me know if the sound is good. I keep having mic issues. We switch things around and it fixes it for a bit, but it keeps coming. So if you guys notice that there's a sound, like electronic sound issue with the mic, let me know. I was planning on switching all of my computer system up to my MacBook. I think my computer just can't handle all of the data that it's processing, and it's coming out as a mic kind of electronic noise. So I don't hear it in my headphones. So it's somewhere in the computer. But let me know if it happens. I might just unplug and plug something just to see if it fixes it. Sharon says JD Vance was roommate in residence with Jamal. Jamil? Do you mean Jamil? Is it Jamil Javad? Who is currently and more recently sitting in our House of Commons. They're good friends. I think it's Jamil or Jamal. Jamal Jamil, I think. Let's see. Here, give me a sec. MP. Jamil Giovanni. Yeah. Yeah, Jamil Giovanni. Sorry. That's what I thought. Jamil Giovanni. Sharon keeps writing in the comments all these. I think autocorrect keeps changing it. So, and then Rhonda says, I may have to turn off volume for Trudeau. You know, you're the same thing as me. I cannot stand his voice. It just invokes a visceral reaction in my body that I cannot control. So it one makes me want to mock him, makes me want to just shut it off. But I know that's not Jamil Giovanni. So it's Jamil Giovanni. But yeah, he knows JD Vance. They were friends in school, as well as Vivek Ramaswamy. I think that's how you say it. And yeah, they were good friends. So it's kind of interesting to see that connection. They should send Jamil down there to negotiate with Danielle Smith. But yeah, anyways, we might as well get started on this. I'm just gonna see if I can find. Sharon says, yeah, it's autocorrect. Yeah, he has battled cancer. He wrote that in, I'm pretty sure he wrote a book about it. Give me 1 second. Let's see if that works. No, that works. There you go.
President Trump also repeated his concerns about the border. While less than 1% of fentanyl and illegal immigrants that enter the United States come from Canada, our government has already acted to address the concerns raised by the president about border security with an over $1 billion comprehensive border plan. We're already working collaboratively to keep our citizens safe on both sides of the border. Of course, if the president does choose to proceed with tariffs on Canada, Canada will respond, and everything is on the table. Working in unison with Team Canada, as Team Canada, with business leaders, organized labor, civil society, Indigenous leaders, and premiers from coast to coast to coast, we are prepared for every possible scenario. In fact, just last night, I spoke to Premier Ford in his capacity as chair of the Council of the Federation, and he reiterated his unwavering commitment on behalf of Canadian premiers to working all together. This is an important and challenging moment for Canada and for Canadians. And we know there will be many such moments. Through all of it, I want to be clear that we have Canadians' backs.
Oh, I have so many thoughts and opinions on this. He doesn't want to admit that the whole reason we're in this situation is because of his complete failures. It's funny, he focuses on fentanyl. There's been like recent, like huge drug busts happening in the US that came from Canada too. There's been some in Canada as well. But he doesn't want to talk about all the terrorists we've allowed in into Canada. The border security issue is actually a greater security at the northern border than it is to the US when it comes to terrorists and extremists trying to go into the US. There's been way more apprehended at the Canadian border, 3 or 4 times more than at the Mexico border. I did display it in one of the episodes that I did, so I'm not going to bring it up on the screen, but maybe there should be a few things that I just have ready to go in case I talk about them, because that's kind of one that keeps coming up a lot. But so that was Trudeau. So their answer to dealing with this is doing this team and sending Arlene Dickinson. They call it the Trudeau's Council on Canada-US Relations. You know what's funny is they've even gone to the point of doing a council because they know that sending Trudeau is going to do the exact opposite. So I'll give them that. At least they've come to the realization they're the worst ones to negotiate. I don't think that the council that they've chosen is any better. I find it funny that they're saying Kevin O'Leary isn't authorized to speak on behalf of Canadians and accuses O'Leary of negotiating against us. He can meet with whoever he wants. They have no right to tell him you can't go meet. But anyways, it was a neat story that this lady shared, and it just goes to show who Kevin O'Leary is. Here, just give me a sec. I'm just going to pause that so it doesn't distract you guys. And I'll read it out for those who don't get to see the actual episode. My true story on O'Leary versus Dickinson. I had asked both to speak at an AI Awards to celebrate Canadian startup entrepreneurs. It was in 2014, I believe. O'Leary said yes on his own dime. He flew to Canada and did it. He hung around and had dinner and drinks with everyone. She said yes. So speaking about Arlene Dickinson, she said yes too, but only of the attendees startups paid her $50K. May have been slightly less. If she could sell her book and if I could get her a limo. One truly supports startups in Canada and gives back. The other, not so much unless you pay her. So it's just a really interesting differences between the two. And I say that because, like, as someone who runs a nonprofit organization, we've had events, we've tried to get people to come and speak, and we've had people, they make these big demands. Obviously, we can't afford it. We're like a nonprofit organization, but we've had several people agree, either just covering the flight or some who were more well off just did it on their own dime when we went to refund them for the flight. They didn't want to take our money. They just said, we really believe in what you're doing, which was phenomenal. But yeah, it's interesting to see the stark difference. I prefer O'Leary. Do I think he's got a financial benefit from it? Yeah, I think so, considering he's going to be funding the biggest infrastructure Alberta has ever seen, a $70 billion infrastructure program, all surrounding AI and data. It's going to be called a data center. So I do, and I don't think if we keep Trudeau in government that's probably going to become a reality. They're going to do something to stop it. So I think if we have a different government, we might have a better chance. Okay, so I'm going to see what I should cover first, because I've put them in section, but there's a few things that that are related, but I don't want to be all over the place. So one of the tweets to Lori Goldstein shared this: 77% of Canadians in new IPSOS global survey says Trudeau doesn't have the mandate to negotiate with Trump on tariffs, and an immediate federal election is required to determine who does. So speaking of that, there's been someone else calling for an immediate election. Obviously, Pierre Poilievre, he released a statement, and he's calling for the parliament to reconvene, so the prorogation just to stop. There's also a court case right now to stop the prorogation. The government had tried to shut it down, but the Supreme Court is still going ahead with it on an urgent basis. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But anyways, that's in the background. But this is a statement that Pierre Poilievre released. The Honorable Pierre Poilievre, leader of Conservative Party Canada and the official opposition, released the following statement on the threat of tariffs from the US. Canada is facing a critical challenge. On February 1st, we are facing the risk of unjustified 25% tariff by our largest trading partner that would have damaging consequences across our country. Our American counterparts say they want to stop the illegal flow of drugs and other criminal activity at our border. The Liberal government admits their weak border is a problem. That is why they announced a multi-billion-dollar border plan, a plan they cannot fund because they shut down Parliament, preventing MPs and senators from authorizing the funds. We also need retaliatory tariffs, something that requires parliamentary consideration. Yet Liberals have shut down Parliament in the middle of this crisis. Canada has never been so weak and things have never been so out of control. Liberals are putting themselves in their leadership politics ahead of the country. Freeland and Carney are fighting for power rather than fighting for Canada. Common sense Conservatives are calling for Trudeau to reopen Parliament now to pass a new border controls, agree on trade retaliation, and prepare a plan to rescue Canada's weak economy. The Prime Minister has the power to ask the Governor General to cut short prorogation and get our Parliament working. Open Parliament, take back control, put Canada first. So this was a statement from the Conservative Party, from Pierre Poilievre. I agree that we are facing the biggest economic threat that we faced in decades, and nothing is being done about it. You're going to do a committee that's going to go negotiate? Like, it's a complete joke. Now, there is someone who's trying to do something about it, and that's Danielle Smith. And I really like her approach. I'm going to showcase some of the videos she's released. I'm not going to show all of them, but if you get a chance, go and search her profile. She shared a lot of interviews. She was just in the US. She might not actually still be there negotiating with US counterparts, but she was in the US and went on CTV and a bunch of the other news. And I'm just going to respond quickly to one comment first. You may want to update your audio driver. That could be it. It is a new computer. It's not the microphone because I can hear my sound from my headphones. This is like a Shure microphone. It's brand new. I've changed the cable. It's not the cable because I can hear it just fine. It's within the computer system. So driver could be it. And then Deb Holland says he sure does not like being called out by Trump. He doesn't like being corrected by anyone. She's talking about Trudeau. Oh, and she says there's no borders on speech. So that must be when I was talking about O'Leary going to the States. But anyways, okay, let's play this video here. There you go.
My interpretation of the president is he likes to win. And so it's up to us to demonstrate how we can get a double win here. And I think it's a double win for us to sell more to the United States, buy more from the United States, have a joint energy security strategy that leads to a national and international security strategy. So I'm prepared to approach it from that perspective, because we do have to be realistic. We're an economy that's 1/10 the size of the Americans. That we are far more reliant on the trade relationship with them than they are on us. And so trying a tit for tat tariff war without addressing the underlying issues it's not going to go well for Canada. So I don't think it can hurt to try the diplomatic approach and try to take a win-win.
I agree with what she says. Like, you got to sell it to them how it's more beneficial for them if they if they continue working with Canada, because he's all about America first, right? So I thought that was really good. And while that was playing, if you saw me doing something else, I was trying to search for the video where he mentioned February 1st, because Pierre Poilievre's statement said February 1st. I think that's negotiable. Is that a word? Negotiable? I think it's a word. I'm going to make it a word for now. But yeah, so February 1st was the date. There's another video here. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds, but what I'm wondering, I'll just play Trump's video quickly for you guys, because I think it, and I want to tell you my thoughts on exactly what he's saying. Here, I think it's here. Oh no, this is not a video. It's just I thought it was a video. Okay, I'll see if I can find one while I play the other one from Danielle Smith. It again, I'm the only one that does the show. I don't have help. So so if you see me work through this live session, is because I don't have like an editor or producer that helps me. It's all me. So you get what you pay for, which is nothing. I'm kidding. But I get what I pay for, which is nothing. So I have to do all the work. But here you go. I'm just going to open it. So people have to be patient with me, because it's a learning curve, even just to get going on this program. Here we go.
Spoke to Dominic LeBlanc this morning, and we were talking about the First Minister's meeting, and he said, we got a grade of 12 out of 13, which is like an A+ grade, but it's not perfect. Presumably Alberta was the grade that they didn't quite get. And then you have Premier Ford saying that it left him with the impression that maybe you weren't putting Canada first, you're putting Alberta first. What do you say to that?
Well, I can tell you I would never go out publicly and say we should stop selling car parts as a way of making a point to the Americans and hurt Ontario. I'd never go out and say we should stop selling aluminum to Americans as a way to make a point to hurt Quebec. And it hurt me that they felt that they could make that same argument, that Alberta should sacrifice our interests in order to try to advance some kind of trade war. I take a different approach. Let's stop fighting with each other. Let's maybe try to remove some of the internal trade barriers. Maybe my fellow premiers can stop blocking pipelines when we propose them to either the West or East Coast. And maybe this should be a moment of reckoning for us as a country, that part of the reason all of us look north-south is because for the years have made it very difficult to do business east-west. So maybe that's what we should be talking about, is each other, so collectively we can sell our products to the world, whether that's to America or whether it's off the West Coast or whether it's off the East Coast. And maybe that's a far more constructive conversation to have than how do you sacrifice one province's interests in order to be able to protect the rest. And unfortunately, we don't have to have that conversation today, because we don't have tariffs and we have the ability to have both of those conversations, a constructive conversation with each other and then a constructive conversation with our American friends.
So for sure that conversation is not today. There are enough things for people to talk and worry about today. But somewhere there is a playbook about what to do if the conversation has to happen tomorrow. And if the conversation comes down to a potential export tariff or a ban from Canada, from Ottawa, what's in your playbook?
Well, my playbook is to talk with the incoming Secretary of the Interior and the incoming Secretary of Energy and ask if they want to double our oil and gas production and double our oil and gas export. That's where I'm going next. I believe that we should be talking about how we sell more to America, not less, and that we should be talking to America about how we can buy more from them too. If they really are concerned that we're not buying enough, well then let's buy more gas turbines, let's buy more AI infrastructure, let's buy more military equipment. This is the constructive conversation that we need to have, and I think we need to stop with the threats and start talking about diplomacy and collaboration, because that's where we're going to find a solution.
Okay, Premier Smith, thanks very much. You're going to get one of those Canada's not for sale hats that we...
I sent this video to Scott Moe, and I said, you're failing at how you're dealing with this situation, and you're failing at helping our province. You should be standing with Danielle Smith. So we'll see if they'll start making a difference in the future. I just think Scott Moe has taken the wrong approach to this. It's just banging arms with or locking arms with Ottawa, while Ottawa just destroys our province or threatens to destroy the livelihood of our province the same way as Alberta. In Saskatchewan, we have oil too. So, but yeah, Sharon says Danielle Smith is a great negotiator. She is. She is. And Sharon, I didn't cover the UK Mark Carney. I'm gonna do an episode just on Mark Carney. I'm just gathering all the stuff on the campaign. I have like a bookmark, a folder just for it, and I'm gonna do a whole episode on on all of the candidates that are running for the leadership. So I will probably be reporting on it then. But yeah, she's doing a phenomenal job, and she says we shouldn't be talking about exporting less, we should be talking about doubling our exports. And in another episode I covered as well what she was saying, how a lot of our exports that go to the US gets refined in the US and then sold out from there. So they grab the raw material, process it, and they sell it and make a profit off of it, and they get it at a really big discount. So she says we should be ramping that up, not bringing it down. And the thing is, Trump is a business guy. You want him to go in your direction, show him how it makes sense. And that's the case that she's making. So I think she's going in the right direction. And I think a lot of the other ones who are completely failing at it should take a page out of her book. Page out of the book. Remember the apple eating interview? What page? What page? Okay, next. Okay, I want to say this other point is very, very big. It's 4 minutes and 39 seconds long. That's a little long to play it. I thought it was going to be shorter. But Brian Lilly made a really big point. Maybe I won't play the video because it's quite long and I have so much to cover today. But Brian Lee said it's not just the Trump tariffs that will hit Canada's economy hard. It's that he's about to massively deregulate critical industries when we are going to in the opposite direction and making it harder to do business. So right now, if you haven't been following Trump and Dodge and all of that, Trump's big mission is to deregulate making business in the US. There's even been statements where he said, if you're going to be investing over a certain amount of money into the US, we're going to put your approving all of the building, all the infrastructure at the forefront of other businesses to speed it up. But they also want to take the red tape away. And this is something Pierre Poilievre's been talking about as well as a big problem holding Canada back. And I did an episode covering on how it holds Canada back. And I showed a video that Pierre Poilievre had made that's like 15 minutes long. If you haven't seen it, it's highly, highly important. It talks about capital gains tax. So if you search in Pierre Poilievre's profile, you'll see it. I highly recommend you watch it because you'll understand why we're so behind and why we're falling more behind, why businesses aren't coming and settling in Canada and bringing their capital into Canada. And it does a really good explanation. But on top of that, what Brian Lilly is saying, the fact that the US is making this a priority means it's a lot of businesses who are in Canada who want to make more profit, who want to be more successful. There's a big chance that these big infrastructure projects, these big businesses will go to the US. We saw that a lot when Trudeau got elected. They kind of realized, oh, all the woke ideology stuff, all the climate change stuff, it's going to put a tamper on everything. And we've seen it happen over the last 10 years. Now you're just seeing that even more happen. So I actually foresee in the next few years our capital actually leave Canada and go to the US because there's more chances of success there. And that's what Brian Lilly was talking about. So I'm not going to play the video, but it's a really important factor we have to recognize. It's not just the tariff threats we have coming, is the fact that Canada's holding itself back with the opportunity. So infrastructure, businesses, capital is going to go to the US because there's more chances of profit there now. So yeah, let's see what else I've got here. I want to cover that, but okay, I'm going to cover this video first. Just got to bring it up top here. It's an interview with CTV and Pierre Polyev. And I just wanted to say, CTV, this reporter
criticism that they're levying, but that you're levying rather
has been doing a phenomenal job at putting pressure and holding them to account. I don't know. I can't remember her name. If you guys know her name, let me know. I'm just going to bring her up on the screen here. But she's been asking tough questions. For a while, mainstream media was just like googly eye with Trudeau and the Liberal, but she hasn't been. She's actually been asking tough questions. So I haven't seen this interview yet, so I'm going to be watching it for the first time with you guys.
President.
I think Premier Smith's point, though, at some instances has been, and I certainly do understand the criticism that they're levying, but that you're levying rather, but it has been like we're so reliant on sending our stuff to the U.S., including oil, because there has not been any sort of, will at the level of the federal government for building pipelines or other ways to get this product to other markets. I mean, your party and you specifically, Mr. Singh, have opposed the building of pipelines, including TMX, and spent the federal government spending money on that at every step of the way. Do you not, is there not some culpability there in the fact that we are so vulnerable as an export market when it comes to our energy to just the U.S.?
There's no doubt that diversification is important. We need to be able to produce more in our own country. We need to refine more in our own country. The fact that we have got such an incredible wealth of critical minerals, but we're not actually building the batteries in our country. We're not actually refining those products with our timber as well. We log, but we don't refine or add value to the raw goods that we produce in our country. So that's serious. That's a serious concern that we've had. The Liberals and Conservatives have been in power since the beginning of this country, and they've certainly failed on that front to develop a more developed economy, an economy that adds value to the raw resources that we have.
But Mr. Singh, I'm asking you about oil, right? You have been opposed to pipelines that would allow for Canada to export its oil to other places other than the United States. Was that a mistake?
I mean, I don't think that's relevant right now to the question of tariffs being imposed on Canada, and in response to us being willing to do whatever is necessary. And I disagree with Danielle Smith, who's prematurely pulling back a potential tool. I think in negotiating, you need to have all your tools ready to go, and you escalate them as necessary. We need to respond if there are tariffs with tariffs in kind. We also need to make it clear, I think, to the workers that might be impacted, that we will have their back, that we will support them. So that's my focus.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, the relevancy is more in the medium to long term, right? In oil is one aspect of it, but essentially we're in a place where 4 years after we thought there wouldn't be another Donald Trump, there is one, and we're incredibly vulnerable to the prospect of any tariffs because of our reliance on the U.S. as an export market. And I was just asking about whether or not oil should only go there, or if there's some, if it's been short-sighted to essentially oppose getting oil to other places so that we're not so vulnerable.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't focus on just one product. I think in general, my response to that is in general, the previous governments, both conservative and liberal, have not built an economy in Canada where we do more than just take out raw materials out of the earth. We need to also refine products. We need to add value to products in our own country. We need to build more of the things that we need in Canada. That's clearly a fault of both Liberals and Conservatives who've been in power since the beginning of this country, that they've not built an economy that is more resilient and that is more...
So her name is Vasi Kapelos? I don't know how you say it. Kapelos? Anyways, I've loved seeing her stuff and them putting them to the fire, but it's hilarious, just like her facial expression. Like, are you kidding me? You're not even answering. You're not even recognizing the part you played in this. And it's funny too, because he's talking about this as if the conservative are just as fault. In fact, when the conservatives get in power, they work on doing this. But then when the liberals come in, they stop all of that. The Keystone Pipeline is one of those examples. And then Rowie has a good comment. He says, why are all the premiers going to Ottawa to kiss the ring of GT? Danielle Smith is the only competent leader that knows the border is the absolute issue at hand and is why the tariffs put upon us February 1st. Our leaders would rather go into a trade war than fix the border. Unbelievable. So that was a statement by Rory Van de Kamp. I think I said it right. But yeah, it's interesting just to see their response. I want to talk about the Keystone Pipeline quickly, and then I'll come back. I got to find where I put it. Here. I saw this tweet. Trump calls for the reinstatement of the Keystone XL pipeline. I saw the tweet, but I didn't see how he's done that yet. I was going to try to find it. I'll see if I can find it when I play another one of the videos that we're going to be playing. But if that's the case, the Keystone Pipeline, let me bring it up quickly. Where was the Keystone supposed to go? So it's supposed to transport crude oil from Canada to the United States. With the proposed Keystone XL extension intended to expand its capacity and shorten the route, the Keystone Pipeline, which was canceled in 2021, was planned to run from Harcity, Alberta to Steel City, Nebraska, USA. So if Trump is talking about reinstating, and yeah, it was here, let's see, why was it canceled? Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. Environmental concerns. So there are a bunch of climate activists that were fighting it. Water, land risk, indigenous opposition. Obama decision. So Obama decided to initially reject the Keystone Pipeline, citing its contribution to climate change. So this whole like battle against like stopping natural resources, stopping oil and gas. I've talked about this before. If you honestly cared about climate change, if that was your biggest priority, we need to make sure we do less carbon footprint, less carbon emissions. We need to do have the cleanest air possible. If that was the top of your priority, you would do the opposite of shutting down Canadian oil and gas. And I'll tell you why. When we don't produce the Canadian oil and gas, all these other countries goes and buy from other countries who do. We just don't have the infrastructure to switch everything to electricity. We need oil and gas to survive. I mean, you have some countries that are still burning poop in their house to heat their home. If you want to talk about carbon footprint and pollution, that would be it. You have countries who are still using coal. We still have some coal. But when you talk about the oil and gas production that we have in Canada, we have the most advanced carbon capture technology there is. So if you're going to shut down Canadian oil and gas, that means the oil and gas and the energy that's going to be produced around the world, they're going to buy it from other countries instead of us. So if you actually cared about climate change, you would do the exact opposite. You would up our production times 100. Enough so that we can give our oil and gas to the rest of the world because it's more ethically produced than the rest of the world. You wouldn't be, anyways, rant over, but that's a fact. You can't say climate change, shut off Canadian oil and gas in the same line as trying to protect the planet, because you're doing the exact opposite. So Trump administration in 2017 revived the project. Biden administration revoked the project permit via executive order. So Trump shut it down. Obama shut it down. Trump activated it. Biden shut it down in 2021. So the fact that Trump is talking about the Keystone Pipeline tells me that he's doing the exact opposite of wanting to shut down Canadian oil and gas. It wouldn't shock me, even if the tariff threat, he was to exempt oil and gas. He's not going to say that because I think that wouldn't help in the negotiation, but it wouldn't shock me. This is going to be my prediction. I don't think come February 1st that there will be a tariff on oil and gas coming from Canada. I think there might be on other things, but I don't think it will be on oil and gas. That's my prediction. I wanted to find the video as well where he talks about the announcement, but I was supposed to look for it. Is it here? No, it's not here. I'm just going to scroll down really quickly and see if I find it. Okay, here it is. Good. It's a 30-second clip, so I'll play that. And then I'm going to tell you why I have the prediction that I have too. And I don't think it's going to be February 1st. I'll tell you why.
Tariffs on Mexico. Where do you think?
You can't really hear the question being asked very good, but there.
On tariffs on Mexico, given these actions you're signing on the border?
Well, we're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
When do you think you would enact those?
I think February 1st.
Are you planning on giving notice of that?
I think we'll do it February 1st.
Where are you thinking on tariffs?
Notice, like, I always evaluate, like, I profile people. So I always evaluate. One of the things in a profile that you do is pay attention to the word choices that they use. So he didn't say it's coming February 1st. He said, I think February 1st. And anytime he's kind of talked about the announcing it, it's never an affirmative word. It's I think or probably, but it's not a for sure. If he was already fully decided, it would have been it's coming in February 1st. But every time he says it, he says I think or probably. There's been other videos floated around that he's been asked that were the same thing. Now, Danielle Smith, I had made a post about that she thinks Trump misspoke when he was asked about this. I'm going to see if I can find it. Let's see. Danielle Smith. See if it comes up. Oh, I spelled it incorrectly. I'll see if I can find it. It's not coming up. Sorry if you can hear my son screaming in the background. I think he's upset at something. Here. I don't know if it comes through the mic, but I am a mom of 4 kids and my kids are downstairs. I do have someone helping me, but I don't think she knows to tell him to be quiet right now. So I might have to pause my mic and go tell him during the next video. But if not, well, you just get to experience what it's like living in my household. Okay, there's another thing I want to talk about. Remember when I said if Canada doesn't up their game, infrastructure is going to be flocking to the US? There is an infrastructure that's just been announced. And I'm hearing a lot of things about it and some things I'm hearing that are concerning. So, and that's the 500 billion investment. Here, I'll show it to you guys, the tweet first. On Donald Trump's second day, he announced a 500 billion investment into America's AI infrastructure, turning a chapter to the next industrialization era, the Stargate project. Meanwhile, in Canada, Justin Trudeau is talking about which brand of ketchup Canadians should be using to maintain affordability. This country is run by idiots, he says. So I'll play the video. I won't necessarily play the video, but I've seen other videos as well about this plan, about Oracle specifically, because I think Oracle is part of this project. Look, I'm super pro Canada using AI, advancements in AI. I've talked about that before. I personally use AI quite a bit for a lot of the stuff that I do. I think we can choose to ignore it and not advance in it, not learn about it, and we're going to be facing all the people who used to ignore the internet and then fell behind. So, and I don't want other countries to be at the top uh, priority or the top level of or a top advancements of AI. I would rather it be a free them liberty minded company. So I would rather it be the US or Canada. It'll never be Canada, but I'd rather it be the US than China or US than Russia. So I'm full on board with investing in that so that we don't fall behind to China when it comes to AI technology. However, with that, literally minutes later, there's a guy who comes on the screen and starts talking about an AI technology that they're working on, which would basically be an individualized mRNA shot for people who have like cancer cells. They would develop these shots to target the cancer cells using AI technology. So anytime I hear mRNA, the hair stands up in the back of my neck because I've seen the damage that the first mRNA has done to society, that the plummeting death, not death rate, but the life expectancy going down. I've seen so many horror stories of people dying within the shots. And I know some people who's watching this will be like, no, it's safe and effective. No, it's not. The data is out there. And if you're not paying attention to it, you're just putting your head in the sand. You're being completely oblivious to it. So anytime I hear those words, I automatically distrust. So do I have concern about AI technology that might be building? Yeah, the same Oracle company talked about how they could have technology in every campus to detect if there was a gun. Would that be great if they can catch um, shooters before they enter the schools, that there an alarm would go off? Yeah, but I don't like the idea of having a not an administrative state. What's the word? A monitoring state where basically they monitor everyone's every move. And I do think that's what we're going into with AI. It's gonna be very important that we lobby our government for privacy laws, for data privacy laws to be put in place so that we don't become like China, this a social credit system where they monitor all authoritarian state. Yes, but it's not the word that I was looking for. The word was the like a nanny state. No, where they watch your every single move. I just can't remember the word for it. It's something state. But so while I want the US to be to the advancement of it, I would rather US technology be built than China technology that have like spying built in and we don't even know, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, but I think we're going to have to pay really close attention to what they're planning with this AI infrastructure. And I think we're going to have to lobby our government to really put privacy as a priority, protecting individual freedom, protecting liberty, but with that, protecting our privacy at a whole nother level. So, like, I don't know if you guys saw, like, that there's so many movies that warns about this where AI like starts getting to a point where it like predicts like who's going to do something, and they're even like charged and convicted before they even did it because the AI infrastructure said this person's going to do something. There's so many movies out there that I'm like, we need to make sure that as this is advancing as fast as it is, that there is a counter um, security being put in place so AI cannot overrun our freedoms and liberty. But yeah. I'm just checking to see what I'm going to talk about next. Um, I'll go over a few comments. Sharon says, those that don't believe that the vaccine is harmful are suffering from cognitive dissonance, in my opinion. I think part of it too is a lot of people who pushed it on other people don't want to admit that what they did was wrong. So you're seeing that a lot with the doctors, but but the doctors are waking up. Even in my, I won't even say because I don't want to put a target on anyone, but even the doctors that I do know that were pushing it have now stopped recommending it to people because they've seen so many adverse reactions. So even the doctors are waking up. You'll still have some that will be full blown pushing it, like like usually the public health people, the worst offenders. I don't think they'll ever change their stance because then they'd have to admit to what they did. And so Rory says 100%. I think we all feel uncomfortable about this announcement. So he's talking about the announcement for, well, you know what? It's not necessarily the announcement for the 500 billion investment into AI. It's what some of the people who are involved in there are talking they want to focus on. I think that's the part that we're really uncomfortable with. I mean, we can be uncomfortable with AI technology because it creates such a big uncertainty for our future. Because it's going to come to a point where AI is going to do a lot of the jobs that we currently do. And so we can be uncomfortable even just based on that. We're going to have a massive uncertainty in the next 10 years as AI advances, that our way of life or our way of the world running is going to change drastically. So that should make us uncomfortable. It's just naturally to be uncomfortable with that. But like I said, it's going to be so important that safeguards get put in place so that this AI technology does not take away our freedoms and our rights. Here. Oh, there's so many comments. This is like obviously a heavy subject for you guys. And Rory, I can't click on links that you sent me. I can only click on them if you DM me. So if you private message me, I can't do it from the screen to open it. So if you want to send it to me, I might be able to open it. Okay. Now the next subject, the bigger one. I went on a lot with the Trump tariff stuff. The bigger one. Oh, actually, I'll do a quick fun one first. It's not fun, but it is fun. I just really like this guy's approach. So I want to share this video. You'd be able to get. Just seems like fun. Oh no, it's on the wrong screen. Give me a second. I got to bring it up top here. So for those who don't know, the US right now, the southern parts of the US are being hit with like cold weather, and not just cold weather, like massive storms. Like this is Florida right now. So this is the ocean in Florida. Where does it say? They tagged it Gulf of America. So this is the Florida beach right now. New Orleans had like a foot of snow. And all I keep thinking is all of these people have no idea how to drive in winter. So I just keep thinking the massive amounts of accidents that are probably happening right now. We see that in Canada every beginning of season in Canada. The first snow or the second snow, there's always massive amounts of accidents. So just imagine that in the US, and they don't necessarily, because some of the people there have never seen snow. So they don't know, like if you're driving on the highway that has like 80 miles an hour, or during snow condition, you want, and I'm saying miles an hour, not kilometers an hour, you want to slow down. But the speed limits in the US are much, much faster than in Canada. So I hope people are driving safely. But anyways, there was a video that I thought was cute and I wanted to share with you guys after I show you guys this here. But this is not the video, it's another one. Here you go. I just like this guy's like energy.
Hey, Canada. Hey, honey. Hey, Suge. I just want to talk to you about something real quick. I don't know if you know that, but you might have left your door open last night, honey. And now all your weather is just all over my neighborhood and wreaking all kind of havoc and stuff. And I was just wondering when you thought you'd be able to get that back under control, honey. Because if you left your door open, were you raised in a moose barn? Honey, we're just not used to this down here in the South. When I woke up and it was 16 degrees, honey, we don't mess around with that kind of tomfoolerishness, okay? So if you could just do me a favor and just scrape up all your weather together, maybe put it in a bucket and take it on back up there to Toronto, Minnesota. Up there, honey, because we don't fare so well down here with it. Okay, sugar britches. All right, listen, I love you, honey. Go with God. Do me a favor. Call your mama and ask her if she left her door open too. All right, bye, Canada.
Anyways, I just thought this video was really funny. Not funny that they're dealing with like such bad weather. So 16 degrees Fahrenheit is minus 8.89 right now. And the funny part is this conversation, the subject came up because the inauguration was supposed to be outside, but they moved it inside because of extreme weather. And I'm like, oh, what's it supposed to be? Minus 16 in Fahrenheit. I'm like, that's like minus 8. That's not like that cold. And he's like, but it's going to be like minus 10 with the wind chill. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you guys want to talk about invading Canada and Canada becoming the 51st state by invasion, you better do it in the summer because you guys will never survive doing it in the winter. Anyway, so it was a funny conversation between myself and my American friends. Okay, so I'm going to read a bit of the comments here. Sharon says, I asked my doctor if what his opinion is, and he said it was safe, but wouldn't look me in the eye while saying so. That was about a couple years ago now. If I could find a different doctor, I would. You know what? I wonder if your doctor might have changed his mind since, because I think especially with the boosters is where we were seeing like even more serious reaction. So it seems the more they get, the worse it is. So, okay. So, oh, sorry, Rory. He wasn't, I thought it was you. No, it's someone else was posting it, tagging you. Sorry, Jesse Stone. He tagged me too. So Jesse, I can't see it. So you'll have to message it to me. Sorry, Rory. I thought it was you that posted the link, but no, he tagged you. That's why I thought it was you. Freedom Warriors says hell frozen over. Snow like that before, even in Mexico, if it snowed. Oh, so there's been snow like that before? Just like here in Newfoundland, it may snow in the summertime. Freedom Warrior says global boiling. And yeah, the part in that video that I thought was really funny, he says moose barn. Did you leave the door open to your moose barn? I just really like his energy. I don't know who he is, but I'm going to see if I can go follow him. But it looks like he's in the States and did this video. I thought TikTok was banned, or has it been reopened now? I don't know. Okay, next subject, the heavy subject. I will play this video first, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. So we're all on the same page here. I just got to open it. So Elon Musk this was after Trump's inauguration. Rory says minus 48 degree Canadian Celsius 2 days ago here. I think we had the same thing. It was insanely cold, and we live on a river, so it was really windy. So it was with the wind chill, it was probably even more. But Sharon says she can't see anyone else's comments. Oh, that's strange. Well, some of the comments, Sharon, is not on YouTube. Some of them are on Facebook and some on Twitter. I see from all of the platforms, but you might only see from YouTube. So if you're watching it on YouTube, which is what it's showing me. But yeah, let's watch this video. It's of Elon Musk after Trump's inauguration.
And this was no ordinary victory. This was a fork in the road of human civilization. Okay. This you know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
So here,
It is
I'm just
thanks
gonna go
to
back.
you.
They show the screen here, so you don't see the
My
first
heart
one.
goes out to you. It is thanks to you.
So basically, it goes like this, and my heart goes out to you. And the thing is, you got to understand, like, I don't know if some of you know, but Elon Musk is autistic. So that's why sometimes he'll do like a little bit more. Oh, I see that someone, I wonder if I can report a comment. Don't read that. Somebody is like commenting spam. I'm going to block them really quick here. I don't know how to do it on. How do I do it on there? I might have to go into Facebook to do it. Give me 1 second. I'll have to block them really quickly here. So don't respond back. I'll just block. There has to be a better way. Ban her from the stream. Now we're going to delete it. So yeah, if you're on Facebook and you see this comment, I think it's like a spam to try to. I'm deleting it. There you go. I got to figure out, this is my first spam. So I got to figure out how to deal with it through StreamYard. I'm sure there's a way of doing that. So this is what Elon Musk did. My heart goes out to you. Just so people who don't know, Elon Musk is autistic. So there's certain behavior that's not like the regular population. Like he gets really, really amped up and excited, overstimulated. You see that when he was entering. I don't know if it's not in this video, but it's in some of the other videos that I've seen. Now, following that, mainstream media went all over everywhere saying Elon Musk did a Nazi salute. He clearly didn't. He just said, my heart to yours. So because the mainstream media, nobody listens to them anymore. And we have free speech, and there's a counter to that now. Well, we saw the counter storm online. So one of them was this one right here. So one of the posts, I'm going to share a few posts. So this account said, Elon Musk says, my heart goes out to you. CNN says Elon Musk is a Nazi. The legacy media is actively and purposefully misleading. Here, I'm going to share it. I just realized it wasn't shared. Elon Musk never did a Nazi salute. Watch the full video. He simply gestured and said, thank you. My heart goes out to you. Legacy media is to news what Meghan Markle is to royalty. I hadn't read that full tweet, but this is now they're showing all of these other politicians do the exact same thing. There was no outrage then. There's more here. Let's see. There's also a video I want to play. It's short. It's 1 minute and 41 seconds. That kind of says the same kind of thing here. Let's play it for you guys. I like playing video because it makes it a little bit more interesting.
They had this monopoly on information through the...
Oh, I just realized I had the other screen open so you guys didn't get to see. I explain it. I'll share the video after.
liberal media, about 96% of American journalists are liberals or progressives. And so you had this thing happen where their view that Donald Trump or the MAGA movement or anybody who likes him or votes for him is literally Hitler. You know, this is something that people used to buy, but it's so clear now when the majority of Hispanic men, 25% of Black men, 46% of Hispanics overall, you know, millions and millions of Americans who are not white, who are people of color, so many Jews. I mean, these are people who found a home in the MAGA movement because the left just has simply abandoned them to cater to these ridiculous far left extreme radical views of the left. And so now they're in this camp and they're just not going to believe that a man like Donald Trump, whose heart obviously beats for the American working class, whose singular promise is to put Americans first, they're not going to believe anymore that he's surrounded himself with Nazis. And I'll just say one more word about Elon Musk. This is a person who went to Israel after October 7th. This is a person who went on a tour of Auschwitz. This is a person who met with the families of the hostages taken by Hamas. This is a person who has been a friend to the Jews for a very long time. And I say that as perhaps one of his most vocal critics in America. I think he's very close with the Chinese Communist Party. I think he's really wrong on immigration. I'm out there criticizing him every day. The idea that this person harbors secret Nazi views is simply ridiculous. And honestly, I don't even think the people saying it believe it.
No, I don't think they do. So I want to share a video, a story. I have it somewhere here. Yeah. I didn't know this about Elon, but there was he had said something a way back and they had accused him of being anti-Semitic. I don't remember what it was. And he went to Israel, met with he went and educated himself on a bunch of things that was happening. Anyways, this was one of the ones following that, a story about him that I really touched my heart. And
do you see this thing?
Oh, here, give me a sec. I gotta see how
Do you see this thing? Mm-hmm. Do you know what it? Do you see this thing? Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is?
Why don't you tell everybody?
This says bring them home. The hostages. It was given to me by the parents of one of the hostages. And I said I would wear it as long as there was a hostage still remaining. And I have. The Jewish people have been persecuted for thousands of years. Everyone here has seen the massive demonstrations for Hamas in every major city in the West. That should be jarring. Do you see this thing? Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is?
Why don't you tell everybody?
So he still wears that to this day. He's going to be wearing it until every hostage has been returned. So you can't convince me that was a Nazi salute. Not when you have that. He's the most richest man on earth. There's no reason he needs to do that. And when I saw that story, it just you just see a different side of him. And so it's just interesting to see just the left's kind of narrative. And then there was also a video in the same post because this was AOC attacking Elon Musk. AOC's calling him a Nazi. AOC's doing all of that in the same post. There's a video of AOC at all these pro-Hamas rallies calling for the death of Jews. So I actually responded to one of her tweets and I'm like, you're literally friends with people and you're going to these protests that are literally calling for the death of all Jews. And Sven K said, I can't stand how many children's been killed. It's a sad situation. It is. It is a completely sad situation. War in any country is very, very destructive. It's very atrocious. It's very sad. I've been talking about this because there's a misperception that Israel is the worst of all countries when it comes to war. If you compare urban warfare with any other urban warfare that there's been in history, the ratio of terrorists killed per civilians, Israel is the lowest out of all of them by a long shot. I'll get the stats. I'm planning on doing an episode on this specifically. They've done many things to try to reduce the amount of deaths that occur, but war creates deaths. War is not pleasant, it's not nice. It's the people who suffer the most are the civilians. And yes, Golda said it perfectly. The deaths, I don't consider it Israel's fault. Is there a chance that there may have been some mistake at some point? Yeah, because everyone's human. No war is going to be perfect. However, I don't blame the deaths of the children on Israel. I blame it on Hamas. And you have to understand the state that Israel is in. Did you know that every Israel house has a bomb shelter because they get bombed almost daily from all the countries around them? Every single person who lives in Israel has a bomb shelter. Every time there's a alarm goes on, there's not just bomb shelters in their house, everywhere. Like you saw that during the October 7th massacre. All the people, they heard the alarms, they went to the bomb shelter, and what did Hamas do? They threw grenades into the bomb shelters. Like if you haven't seen those videos, you want to talk about evil? That is evil. I don't think Israel goes out there with the sole mission, oh, we're going to kill children. Hamas does. And that's the difference. And if you don't have moral clarity on that, then I can't even help you. I don't think we can even have the same kind of conversation. With that, also the moral clarity as to what's happening in Canada. If you compare the amount of hate attacks, hate crime that occurs in Canada for the percentage amount that are Jews compared to the percentage of any other population that gets targeted, Jews are 100 times more targeted than any other population. And since October 7 has happened, that's only gotten worse. They don't feel safe. I have many friends who are Jewish. I'm not. I've been accused of being Jewish. People have been pointing to my nose. My nose is not Jewish. My nose is indigenous. So I'm part French, Acadian, and part indigenous. So my features, my dark features, come from the indigenous side, and that's why I also don't burn. I can be in the sun for hours, and I won't burn. I will tan. So, but I'm not Jewish. But when I see what is happening, the targeting of people just because of their ethnicity and their religious views, I have a huge problem with that, especially when that religious views is not encroaching on mine. I have a problem with religious views like Sharia law that encroach on mine, or people calling for Sharia law to come to Canada. That I have a problem with because it encroaches on mine. But when it comes to the Jews and the direct targeting, the direct hatred, and you can say, oh, these are protests. No, they're calling for the annihilation of all of the Jews in Israel. And that's what these groups have done this whole time. I would like to do a full episode on. No, Sharon, you're probably watching some videos that paint a very nice narrative, but when you start and actually look into the realities of it, I don't believe that to be true. So, but you will have people, there's a lot of propaganda out there, and we saw that during COVID, and there's a lot of propaganda on both sides. And what I do when I see some of this stuff, I evaluate it. Are they showing the receipts? Are they showing what's actually happening? And just to give you an example, they want to say that when Israel was created, they kicked out all of the Palestinians. They made it a Jewish only state. That's not true. It's in their not constitution, but the document that created Israel, that the people who are Arab, Muslim, other faith have just as much rights as the people who are Jewish. 20% of Israel's population is Arab and former Palestinians. So the people who were there, they said, you can stay, become a part of us, but if you're going to fight us in a war, you can't stay. So what happened is other countries who didn't like that what was happening called on all of them to join them in basically annihilating Israel. And I'm simplifying it. I'm going to do a full episode on this. And anyways, called on annihilating Israel. So all the people that ran to those countries to fight against Israel weren't allowed back in. So here. Oh, so many comments. This is obviously a hot topic. Yeah, Rory said there's been 100 churches that have been burnt down as well. Not a single word from the federal level. Actually, a lot of MPs from the Conservative Party have been talking about it, but none from the Liberal Party. And I've talked to people on both sides. I've talked to I have a friend here in Saskatoon that's from Palestine, and he shared some of the stories of what his family went through, and look, I don't think Israel is perfect by any means. I don't think everyone in the Israel government is perfect. I'm actually not a fan of Bibi, and I've been critical of him, especially during COVID. He was one of the worst tyrants during COVID. And I'm still not a fan of Bibi, but I do believe Israel has a right to exist, and I do believe they have a right to defend themselves. And I do believe that they are forever under threats of war, and they have to react differently than you or I or Canada would, because they know what they're dealing with. We're not facing with a neighbor who tries to kill us every second of every day. So, yes, I'm not an expert on this subject by any means, but I've listened, I've watched all of those videos that some of you have probably watched, and there's a lot of propaganda video out there. So like Ian Carroll is one of the prime example. I would love to just go and pick apart his video, and where he's showing things, but he's not showing the full context. He's painting a narrative the same way you see that on the left. And I've been fooled before because I wasn't paying much attention. I was basically an idiot who wasn't paying attention to what was actually happening. So when I see these videos, I am just as critical of them as I am with what the mainstream media on the left is pushing. So I will grab that video, I'll watch it. I've had many people send me stuff, I'll watch it, and then I'll be, okay, let's look at the numbers here. Does this make sense? Like Ian Carroll did a thing and he said every politician is bought off by APAC or whatever the organization. So I'm like, okay, let's see how much donations they do. Okay, let's compare it to every other organization that does donations to a political entity. Okay, let's see the techniques of lobbying. I'm like, we as an organization are basically doing the exact same thing because we don't want mandates to come back. We don't want COVID mandates to come back. So we're lobbying government. We're getting involved. I'm like, I could see why they would want to do the same thing. So I will be bringing, so Kevin said maybe have someone by the name of Mehdi Hassan, maybe ask him to come on your show. I already have some people who have asked to come on my show, but I'm not I want, if somebody's going to come on my show and talk about a sensitive subject like that, I would rather have someone else who and make it a debate, because I don't want my listeners or people who are watching to be misled. I would rather have both counters there, and I'm not equipped to counter that because I don't have the information and the knowledge to the extreme that someone like Mehdi Hassan would have. So I wouldn't be a good match to go head to head with Mehdi. Even if I disagreed on some of the stuff, I wouldn't be prepared to counter it. But there are people who are out there who are I've reached out to a few of them. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. And I do have someone who can kind of speak to the Palestinian side ready to go. So I just want someone else who's very knowledge on history, who can counter that and who can show proof of all of that. So again, I'd rather it be a debate. I think that is more fair than me trying to debate a subject that I'm obviously not 100% expert on. But I will speak to what I've witnessed in Canada. And that's definite, and not just in Canada, online. The amount of hatred towards people who are Jewish, even people who are Jewish, who are not from Israel, who's not a part of Israel, who's never lived in Israel, are being targeted with hatred. So much so that I actually wrote a post about it. And it's funny because I actually started kind of speaking about Israel, speaking about some of the stuff. And then I got a little taste of that hatred myself, because then they thought I was Jewish. She must be Jewish if she's talking about this. And the amount of insults and like people making fun of my nose, by the way, which I absolutely love. I might not have when I was younger, but yeah, just seeing the attacks and the accusation against me because they thought I was Jewish. So I made a post just about it on X. Here, I'm gonna see if I can find it and I'll show it to you guys. It will be probably my highlight. Yeah, okay, so this is the post. It's hilarious seeing the woke right attack me by calling me Jewish and pointing to my nose. I'm French and Canadian and indigenous Micmac. My nose, which I love, comes from my indigenous ancestry. Not even a bit Jewish. As for my married last name, so that was another one. They're saying, oh, she's a Ness. That means miracle in Hebrew. But that's not where my last name comes from. My last name is my husband's last name. It's not Norwegian, but Jewish. And what it means is headland. So in Norwegian, there's certain areas where my husband was from. And they call it headland. So that's why they're called Ness. So my husband is Norwegian and Scottish, also not Jewish. I speak up for Jews not because I am Jewish. I speak up for them because I see history repeating itself, and I will not be one of those who stayed silent and let it happen. And we saw this a lot. Like and I've talked about this. We got a taste of what it must have been for a Jewish person during the Holocaust. Like, and again, a small little fraction of a taste when we were ostracized from society. We were told, oh, you can't be around them, they'll infect you. They did the same thing to the Jewish people. Obviously, it went much further to the point of the Holocaust. And but yeah, it when I see that happening again to the Jewish people, I'm like, I get it now. I get it why you get involved. I get it why you have organization to combat anti-Semitism. You're doing everything you can to make sure it never happens again. And not just the Holocaust. The Jewish people have been persecuted since the beginning of time. I am a Christian. I believe in the Bible, and I've read the Old Testament. You can't tell me they haven't been persecuted for their entire existence. And I believe it to be a completely spiritual thing. I believe the reason they're persecuted so much is because they are God's chosen people, and the enemy goes after what God loves. And the same way Christians are being persecuted, and Christians are being persecuted we're the biggest number. They're the most persecuted in other countries, maybe not Canada, but when it comes to numbers, but compared to population, I would say Jewish is at a higher rate. And when I've seen what I've seen in the last few days, I'm like, something's not right here. This is not like a natural progression. You have a few like big conservative voices trying to push that Jew hatred, Candace Owen, Ian Carroll being a few of them. But what I witness is all the comments under their posts are extremely hateful. I'm like, this isn't conservatives. We don't write like that. Like if you look at Twitter like a year ago, this is not how conservatives behave. This is not how the right behaves. And it made me wonder if there was like some coordinated, and you saw it as well in December when it came to the H-1B, and I talked about it. It made me wonder if there's like these coordinated groups that are trying to sway public opinion And I think I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on. I think part of this is so that it gets so extreme that the government comes in and says, oh, it's gotten so bad, we have to do something about it. We have to pass these bills like they're doing in Canada to fight anti-Semitism, to fight against the hatred of Jewish, to limit free speech. That's what I think is happening. I think it's a coordinated thing that's happening from the left. It just, they're pretending to be on the right just to come in and bring it in. And then all of our free speech is being attacked and silenced because it's been allowed to get to a point where it's become really dangerous. That's my conspiracy mindset, where this is a way to bring in rules and laws against free speech. Because it's not even the things that people were saying to me. I'm like, conservatives don't talk like that. They don't use the C word. Like it's, and these are Christian conservatives that are swearing throughout, that are saying the most hateful thing. I'm like, this is not how Christians behave. So something's off here. And then you go and look at all of their behavior. It's hatred, 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 hatred on everything. So I'm like, this is not like your typical right-leaning person. Like if Trump was to see all of these comments, these behavior, he'd be calling it out. And every conservative would. So, but do you know who I used to see talk like that? The far left. The far left would use the C word. The far left would use all of these insult. So that's why I think it's a strategy to be able to knock the wind out of the conservative, out of the MAGA movement, to destroy the MAGA movement, because then they'll be able to point, well, see, that's MAGA. And the regular general public will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they say those things. I can't vote for MAGA again. I can't vote for Trump again. I think that's what's happening. But again, this is a conspiracy of mine. Next subject. Oh, this video was actually
any angle that goes beyond.
Sorry, I got to put it on the other screen. So it's somebody explaining mathematically how Elon did not do a Nazi salute, and I just thought it was really
I'm going to be breaking down
really good entertainment. My husband is like an engineer, so before he was a doctor, he was an electrical engineer, so that's how his mind works. But this is a video that I think you guys will enjoy.
Guys, Tesla engineer here. I'm going to be breaking down this video from the inauguration. I'm not sure what the hubbub is all about. I'm a scientist, and what really matters here is the angle. Now, the danger zone here is about 135 degrees. We can see that right here. Okay, now, in Euclidean terms, this is what we call the Nazi index, right? If you have an angle, any angle that goes beyond 135 degrees, then boom, you are a Nazi. But here, we have not reached that index yet. We're not in that space yet. However, anything above 135 should be considered in support of the Third Reich. I'm talking about things like futons, reclining beach chairs, the time 250 on a clock. All of those are Nazi propaganda. Elon, however, does not reach that far. Now, not only that, but look at the inverted parabola of the mouth here, right? With someone with genocidal beliefs, we would expect at least 10 degrees of additional concavity in the frown. We don't have that. Instead, anybody who's studied 101 geometry knows this. Instead, we obviously have an upside down smile, right? An upside down smile. So clearly, I don't really know what the hubbub is about. Also, this is just a one-off thing, as you can see from this video. God damn it.
Oh, I didn't know he was swearing at the
Hey, guy.
But anyways, it's a comical video. I thought I'd share it to bring a bit of light into something so dark. So with that being said, I'm going to share a few tweets as well. If you don't follow Alika Laban, I actually reached out to her to see if she would come on the show and do the debate, because she's very knowledgeable on the history in the Middle East. And she's done some videos as well. I wish she would show more. Like she talks about these things, but she doesn't show a lot of the receipts, which I've confirmed were true. But I wish she would show more of the receipts in her video so that it can be used more to counter some of the narrative. But if you don't follow her already, Alika, I don't know how you say it, Laban. She does a lot of videos. But anyway, she posted this. It's who knew that the world's outrage over anti-Semitism would not come from Islamic fascists kidnapping, raping, and killing Jewish women with a pledge to do 1,000 times more, but from a Zionist man doing an awkward hand gesture because you don't align with his American politics. It's unreal. The same people who are outraged over Elon, no word about October 7th. And I also want to add, I don't know if you guys have seen this. You want to talk about evil, completely sadistic behavior. Hamas released the list of hostages that are supposed to be released. Here, I'm going to see if I can find it. On Saturday. And that mother with, here, give me a second. I want to get the right one. So they released a list. Oh, it's not English. Here. The mother with the two kids there. What's her name? Can you guys write her name in the, I should remember it by heart because it's the one that baby. The one that had two red-headed babies kidnapped kidnapped, the 8-month-old and I think the 3-year-old. They released yesterday the names, and the mother was on the list of names, but the babies weren't. I can't find it here. I'll probably report on it tomorrow. All I see is the name in Hebrew. Yeah, it's not coming up. I'll have to look for it. Cherie Bibas. Do you know the name of her two sons? So they have the list. I think her name and 6 other are on there, but the two babies, well, the 2 kids are not on the list. If they release her and keep her kids in captivity, Ariel and Kafir, talk about torturing this poor mom. So some people have suggested maybe that's because they're already dead. There was reports that they had been like months ago. They were saying, oh, all 3 of them had been killed during the is IDF bombing. Well, if she's still alive, obviously that won't be true. But it's going to be interesting to see if, anyways. It just boiled my blood because every Jewish person, every person from Israel who's been like paying attention or watching that, and they all want to see those 2 babies return. So it just goes to show the atrocity. I told my husband and he was like visceral, angry reaction. Oh, and then this is another video. There's no sound, so I'll share it here. So breaking. It's only a Nazi salute when Elon Musk does it. When Tim Walsh does it, it's just a hand gesture. So it's just part of the other ones where you see them do the same. So, but what I love is the right's making fun of this now and actually starting to talk about it and to counter it. So when Babylon B did a pretty funny tweet, Superman under fire after hundreds of image surface of him giving the Nazi salute. And then Corey Morgan says, this game is dumb. No, it's true. Oh, and then he's saying, we all know this is the real white nationalist sign. Remember they were doing that too, saying that, who was it? Was it Trump? They were saying, oh, he's doing a white nationalist sign. Okay, this was another tweet that I wanted to share. Senator Greg DeLiso, if you haven't watched Hillbilly Prodigy, I highly recommend you do. It's on Netflix. It's basically JD Vance life story. Also, funny note, my one of my son's name is James David. So James David is his middle name. So we didn't know about JD Vance then. So not only is my husband his like carbon copy, my son is basically has the same name as him. So James David. And that's JD Vance's name, James David. Anyways, he the post says the red lady has a story. The lady in red has a story. Her husband abandoned her and the family. She struggled to make ends meet. She battled drug addiction for years and she didn't give up. Today, she watched her 40-year-old son become the vice president of the United States. What a country. But it just goes to show, like, it's a classic case of your circumstances don't define you. What you make with your life, what the decision you make, how you carry yourself is what does. Okay, it's called Hillbilly Elegy. Yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, it's a really good movie. And it really gives you the perspective of JD's like growing up and his life. And it gave me a lot of respect for him. Imagine if he's the one that runs for president after Trump steps down because he's the next president. Like that's like the classic story of the American dream. So, but anyways, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you do. Next one. Okay, another thing I want to point out. This is a video. I'm going to play it. It's just quick. It's 35 seconds. Give me a second. It's about the drones. Remember like a month ago, I covered the drones in New Jersey. And anyways, Trump was asked about
I'd
it.
like to find out what it is and tell me.
I want to show this video because I think it's so refreshing to have a leader that approaches subjects like this the way he does.
But is it anything these drones? Is it anything that people need to be worried?
No, I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of?
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay. Yeah. Why don't we find out immediately? I mean, I can't imagine it's an enemy, or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting, right?
And with the events today,
So it's interesting, right? Someone asks a question. He goes to his I don't know who Susie is. Says, "Can we find out about that?" Yeah. Okay. We'll let you know soon. Like not trying to cover it up, and just think for a second too. Like he's doing all this work and media is all in there asking questions as he's doing. He's not shooing them away. It's not like this pretty thing, ceremonial thing. Like they could ask him anything. They could be friendly, they could be non-friendly, and he's still just answering them. Like, can you imagine if we had that in Canada? If when Trudeau is asked a question, he would just answer it. Like it'd be so refreshing to actually know what's going on, to actually let people know what's going on. I'm curious as to what he's going to say. This was like yesterday, so I don't know if there's been anything released yet. But here you go. Okay, this is another video. You remember how I was just telling you guys how much I like JD Vance? This is a video that's funny. So if you haven't seen it, they were at a church yesterday and they're the most woke bishop there is did like a instead of doing like a Christian message, glorifying God, bringing people to Christ. No, no, no. She just pushed her political agenda. But anyways, I want to show this video because if you want to watch the whole thing, and watch JD Vance, his expression is just.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families.
Like, are you kidding me?
Some who
Like-
fear for their lives. There are
My
gay.
husband sent me the full video. It's not this one, but this tweet was actually funny. Benny Johnson says JD is all of us thinking. JD is all of us listening to that woke joke sermon. I think at one point he even like rolls his eyes, but JD's so authentic. I don't think he even can hide his displeasure. Like his emotions are just constantly right on his face. There are some people who can have poker faces, but JD Vance, for the most part, you always kind of know what he's thinking. I don't think he knows how to be inauthentic. And this is just like a classic case. That's why I said at the beginning, I think we're gonna have like 4 years of like epic memes from JD Vance. It's just because he projects his emotions so much. I don't even think he knows that he does it. Okay, what else? I'm almost done here. This is a longer episode. I don't know where that one came from. Another one, too, that I saw that I thought, James Woods wrote this. These small details are the key to why every American is smiling today. Well, James Wood, I don't think every American is. But so this is a picture. There was what's it called when they go? It's at the unknown soldier's tomb, and they put wreaths. There's a name for it. If you know what it is, put it in the comments. But it was like pouring rain, and they asked him why he didn't bring an umbrella. He said because the soldiers don't have one. So, and see, it's little things like that that you get the character of a leader, right? Where I'm gonna be in the trenches with you, kind of thing. Small glimpse of that, right? But that's not what you'll see on the mainstream media. There's another video, but I'll save that one for tomorrow. I'll play that one tomorrow because it's like 4 minutes long, and it'll make you all emotional. It's a video by Katie Hopkins. I don't know if you follow her. I find her so funny. But she's in DC right now, and she does a video. Actually, I'm gonna play it. Might as well. And then I'll end the show. I don't have anywhere to go. If you hear little tweeting birds, I got some what's it called? Finches. I wanted in the winter. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I get like winter blues, like when the days are short, it just gets so cold. You can't go out and do activities. It's just too cold. And I gotten some like palm trees and stuff, like whatever, like greenery. And I'm like, it still feels like winter, gloomy. And I'm like, it's missing birds. So I built like a bird house, but the birds aren't coming. I have a nice bird feeder, bird house. And but I think it's going to take a while before they come to it. So I build a nice one, and then I'm like, what bird's tweeting? So I went and got some finches. So they're not the kind you can hold or anything, but if you hear them tweeting, it's because they're tweeting in the background. Got like a really big, massive area for them to fly. But here you go. I'll play this one.
To pay my bill.
And I'm playing this because she talks a lot. She says a lot and says nothing, but I think you'll all understand what she's saying. because I think all of us feel that way.
I've just been set right off.
Oops, sorry.
Some people in the restaurant. I was just in there on my own, just to get food in so that I could, go out and do what I do this evening. And I'm trying to pull it together. I'm supposed to be this big hard cow, so it's quite important that I don't lose it. But anyway, so I asked to be sat in the corner quietly, and I just got food in, and everyone was so kind. And this is some more of the presidential party coming through. We just let them get through. Very exciting time to be in DC. Whoever they are, God bless them.
Out of my ear.
And anyway, I came to pay my bill because I need to get home and get ready to go out. And someone had settled my check. And honestly, it's just set me right up. Because I think all sorts of reasons. I think just the kindness of people. I mean, oh golly. But I think just also just the bigness. That's what Trump would say, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be just the bigness of it all? Of what this day really means to everybody. And what so many people have done. And I know I'm overtired, and I know I haven't slept, and I know I haven't eaten, and I know I probably could have drunk less wine over the last 2 days. And certainly I've still got this bloody pussy hat on, which honestly is just a joke. And I totally don't like people that cry on any, you've got to man up. But I guess I just wanted to be honest about how big this is. And the January 6th are just being released now. Enrico's just been released, and his mum's getting her son back. And Trump's getting the hostages back. I just, all of a sudden, I think I've been celebrating so hard, and I've been so happy. All of a sudden, the reality of how big this is, and what you've got a president saying there's two biological sexes, guys, and you can buy whatever car you want, and we're not going to conform to this nonsense anymore. I just suddenly, the kindness of one family in a restaurant just completely opened the floodgates. And you know what, I've realized my hand's freezing off because it's -2, and I really do need to try and put some mascara on, and it's going to be futile. But I think even I hadn't truly realized what we've been living under. And I really don't want to be this person, but I don't think you know how much your freedom is being taken from you until you start to get it back. And
So
America is getting that freedom back. And it's a lot bigger than my little heart can comprehend. So to the family who bought my dinner, who I went and thanked, thank you. And to America, just thank you. And I'm so happy and so proud for all of you who paid such a big price to get us this far. And now I'm going to pull myself together, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be the hard-nosed cow that I'm supposed to be. Okay, that's what I'm going to do.
Anyways, I saw that yesterday, and I got teary-eyed. She says, you don't even know. Sometimes you don't realize all the freedom you've lost until you start getting it back. And I've been talking to a lot of my American friends, and For so long, they didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, and now they do. They see all this woke stuff's not going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Like it's coming to an end. Like we're going to start having like a normal life again, where we're not having stuff shoved down our throat. And yeah, I'm really happy for the US, but I'm also happy for what this will mean for Canada. And I'm not talking the tariffs. I'll deal with that when I see that happen, but this stance, this strong stance that has been taken in the last since November 6th or 5th, when was the election, has showed the world that, yeah, people are not okay with all of this crazy stuff. And I think it's going to put a lot of pressure to seeing that kind of change as well happening in Canada. And because it's emboldening people to talk about it and to talk freely about it. It's yeah, so I watched that, and I could feel it, everything she was feeling. With that, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm having Kirk Lubimov come on. I'm just going to confirm, make sure he can still make it. And then Sheldon Substack on Friday. I'm not sure I'm going to have Viva Frey. I mentioned that he might come on my show, but I saw a video of him yesterday with a lawyer, and they were going full on trying. He wasn't being approaching the whole Andrew Tate subject the way I think he should, considering all the evidence that's out there. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he hasn't fully seen all of it, but I'm hesitant in bringing someone on who, if he is in fact defending Andrew Tate the way I think he is, I'm going to have a conversation with him before. And then it's not someone that I want to platform on my platform, especially since Andrew Tate goes against everything that I believe in. And his actions and criminal activity and behavior goes against everything that I believe in. So I don't know if Viva will be coming on. I want to have a conversation with him first. And but yeah, I'm still working on doing that debate. I've reached out to a few people. God Sod, I also reached out to, and I'll see. Sven, if you're trying to defend Andrew Tate's action, I highly recommend you go and look into the videos, the evidence that's already out there, and the things he's bragged about openly. Those are called spontaneous confessions, and they're admissible in court as evidence of a confession. So there's way too much out there for me to give him the benefit of the doubt that he is innocent. And as someone who's trained to profile sex offenders, child sex offenders, I have, based on the evidence available, evaluated the profile, and I think he's a very dangerous man. And everyone who associates with him will be tarnishing their reputation and their future credibility when all of the information becomes mainstream. And he's a serial liar. So if you believe what he's told you, like, oh, it was 10 years ago. No, he was still doing his business of trafficking during COVID. In fact, he upped his game. COVID was couple years ago, not 10 years ago. And his youngest victim that we have on record, with him admitting, as well as the video of him abusing her, was 15 years old. So that alone makes it so I don't give him the benefit of the doubt when you have video evidence of it and him bragging about it to other people. And all that video evidence is out there. And he's admitted it's real and it's true as well when interviewed about it. I don't think people realize how young she was. So 15 is the oldest she could possibly be, but there is information out there that she would have been 14 at the time. Vivian is the girl. So if you are on the fence, I highly recommend you inform yourself more. And there's good accounts. Crayons is one of the ones who's been reporting on it. I'll give you some names of other ones to follow, because they do a really good job at going through the court records showing, and his case wasn't dropped. He's still facing, he's back on house arrest. The courts appealed it, and he lost. They won the appeal, so he's back on house arrest. They still have the evidence. He's saying they don't have a spit of evidence. It's all been dropped. That's not true. The evidence are all out there. You can actually see the evidence for yourself. But yeah, I'm just going to see the accounts quickly because I've been bookmarking it. I want to do a full episode on it. The Milk Bar TV has been posting a lot of stuff. I'm going to go through. And what happened, my first reaction to it was like, oh, he's probably getting politically persecuted. Because we saw that with Trump, we saw that with other people. And I had a friend of mine, Kat Canada, who's vehemently against it. Vehemently, I don't know how to say that word. And against him. And I said, hey, I saw that you've been like extremely critical. Can you send me what you've got? Like why your conviction is so strong on this? And she says, yeah. And she sent me a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, wow, I had not seen that before. And when I started looking into all of this stuff, and it's all things he said himself. And so, yeah, so that's why I'm hesitant in if somebody's seen all of this stuff and they're still defending it. And not only that, he's also facing charges from victims coming forward for victims in the UK. I got to go look through my bookmark. Give me a sec. I lost. I want to get the crayons account. I don't know. Nathan Livingstone has a lot of it. Crayon Murders. CRAYONMURDERS. So they've been looking into all of this and kind of trying to warn conservative accounts to distance themselves, because this is like an Epstein type situation. I'm talking about Andrew Tate. So, and his brother. So, yeah, I'm probably going to do a video. I said I was going to do an episode on it, so I will be doing that. I just haven't yet. And I've been grabbing all the data, trying to do a chronological order, and I want to research the laws as well in their country, because like we have laws on human trafficking and what the criteria is here, and I have it in my criminal code. Like I've actually, because I'm trained to profile sex offenders and I'm a former cop, like this was one of the yeah, I'll address that comment in a second. This was one of the things that we were trained to investigate and look for. So, and anyways, there is a lot of red flags with Andrew Tate, especially when I put together all the evidence and do the profile like I would have if I was doing the investigation. I highly recommend everyone who's kind of defended him, distance yourself from that man, because your credibility is going to be damaged when it all comes out. Epstein's, will we see the client list? You know what? Trump said he was going to release it. I think, what's the other name? The guy that's going to be doing that job. What's his name? Oh, I'm forgetting his name. The guy that Trump is trying to put into the position of in charge of the FBI list? I do believe he does. Kash Patel. Thank you, Rory. Kash Patel said he was going to release the client list and the P. Diddy list. And there is one for Tate. And that's why I'm wondering, a lot of these people who are defending him, are they people who he's had business with? But it's a little bit different with with Tate. I think there is probably going to be clients, but most of his clientele were online. So for the trafficking case, it includes several things. And again, I want to look to see what it's like in the other country, but the traveling of the victims, the coercing of the victims, were they able to freely go? Were they able to make their own decisions? Did they consent to all of it, and then you have to consider, were they a vulnerable victim? So in a situation where somebody would be considered more vulnerable than others is their age. Were they really young? Did they have like another thing that could make a victim vulnerable is if they have like mental capacity is at a lower state. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to keep defending when all of the court stuff starts coming out, and who's going to distance themselves. So I don't think it's one of those cases where it's political persecution. So just so you know, how this all came about, it was actually an American victim who went to the embassy there. So she was American and came forward, and she was being held against her will and stuff. So that's what started the whole investigation. So, and you got to understand too with predators how they behave with their victims, like the Stockholm syndrome. Is it Stockwell syndrome? I just can't remember the term. It's they have like coerced and manipulated their victims over a long period of time. Like sex offenders do that. That's why often victims don't come forward, even children victims don't come forward from sexual abuse. And I could get into the manipulation techniques, like I've spoken about it. Stockholm syndrome. Thank you. I've spoken about it publicly. I was sexually abused as a child, and I came forward, and he was arrested, convinced to everything, confessed to everything, and convicted, and did prison. But his was like home prison, whatever you call that, and so I've experienced firsthand the manipulation techniques that's this type of profile offender does. And so each profile of each types of sex offenders have a different manipulation technique. And Andrew Tate is one of the most advanced one. And that's why he's convinced so many people he's innocent. And he'll lie. Like almost every video he does, he lies so freely, and there's not a lot of indication in his verbal language of his lying because he's so good at lying, and he's become so good at it over years. It's actually one of the red flags that identifies like a profile when you can prove if what he said is an open, outright lie, and there's no indication just by watching his behavior. It's one of the things that we add to a profile, where they've become master manipulator, master liars. So anyways, so we know as investigators when we're interviewing them to not put a lot of weight into his body language because they've morphed themselves into becoming really good liars. So versus another criminal we interview who hasn't, would have body functions that would just come out naturally. So, but anyways, this episode went too long. I will do a full episode on Andrew Tate in the future, but it won't be today. I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. And also he's been like threatening to sue anyone who kind of exposes him. So I want to make sure everything's ready to go, that there is no, I want to cross my T's and dot my I's. Is that the expression? So, but anyways, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I have guest Kirk Lubimov. I don't know what we're going to cover yet. Probably economic stuff that's happening in Canada, investments, capital, all of that. Yeah, we'll talk about that another day, Sharon. She's trying to bring up Tommy Robinson. Somebody actually asked me yesterday in a phone conversation what my profile of him was. I'm just going to tell you, I wouldn't be friends with him. I feel the way he's been treated is completely atrocious. But he wouldn't be the kind of person I would want to hang out with as a friend. but not for the same reason that some people might think. But yeah, I will let you guys go. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully right at 12. It was a bit later today. I got distracted with the birds. I love birds. Anyways, the birds in Twitter, there's so much happening on Twitter. So I was late in getting ready. And by the time I got here, I was like, oh, I have a lot of bookmarks to cover today. So let's organize them all. I think I had like 20 things. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow will be guests. Friday will be another guest as well. And then I don't have anything yet scheduled for next week. However, next week on the 28th, I won't have an episode every day next week because I am traveling to Calgary for a conference on the 28th. I might have one early morning 28th, but the 29th, 30th, and 31st, I will be at a conference / retreat thing I'll be driving back on the 31st in Calgary. So it's part of I'm considered a thought leader with Modern Miracle Network. So because I approach the subjects of oil and gas and natural resources, so that's what the conference is going to be about. So I'm going to go learn more about the new technology and stuff. So I'm going to that. And there's going to be thought leaders from all across Canada there as well. So I'm going to probably take some videos. I might post some stuff. I did do an interview on an American podcast that I haven't shared with you guys. So maybe I'll share that on Monday. So you guys get to watch that, if not Monday, Tuesday. So there will be something posted, but it won't be a live show. Okay, see you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.